Yesterday, I spoke with Mr. Trump, and I began by asking if he was surprised to have already wrapped up the Republican nomination.
Well, I thought I'd do it. I didn't know I was going to do it this early. I assumed that Hillary would be watching me as opposed to me watching Hillary, so that's good. And it's going to be an interesting thing because Bernie Sanders is not being treated fairly. He's not being treated fairly. You know, it's a rigged system against him also. I'm no Bernie fan, I can tell you that, but it is a rigged system.
Do you believe the system is, the Republican system was pretty rigged, too, even though you're winning it?
Yeah. Totally rigged. It was totally rigged, and it was only that I was winning by so much. I was winning in landslides every week, and if I weren't, I wouldn't have been able to do it because it was dictated by the bosses. But you know what? I'm happy with it. It's like a boxer. You have to go and you have to knock out the opponent. We won so many landslide states, especially the last 7 or 8, that you know, there was nothing much they could do about it. But it's not a good system.
You complained about the system a lot. I'm curious. Are you now more open to same-day voter registration, allowing independents to vote in any primary they want? Are you going to be somebody that's going to advocate for those positions now to make it easier to vote since your voters had a hard time?
Well, you can't expand the party that way, and, you know, we've done it both ways. I've always done better when independents could cross over, and frankly, when Democrats could cross over. You know, in New York, when we were doing the voting, they interviewed, a lot of people interviewed the people at the voting booths that, you know, manned the voting booths.
Well,
and
if they had same-day,
do you realize anything like it?
In New York, had there been same-day voter registration, those people could have voted. So are you for that?
Well, I'll tell you what. But they said that they've never seen so many Democrats wanting to vote for Trump. They were by the thousands. And I will say this. On Election Day, we're going to do very well in New York. But the people were saying to the press that they've never seen anything like it. They've been there for 30 and 40 years.
But you're not. But I'm just curious.
Where Democrats are going.
Do you want to see the voting laws changed to make it easier to vote?
I want to see voting laws so that people that are citizens can vote, not so people that can walk off the street and can vote, or so that illegal immigrants can go and vote. No, I want to make the voting laws so that people it doesn't make any difference how they do it, but I don't think people should sneak in through the cracks. You have to have, and whether that's an ID or any way you want to do it, but you have to be a citizen to vote.
Well, of course, that is the law as it stands already.
No, it's not. I mean, you have places where people just walk in and vote.
We don't have a lot of time. I want to move on here. Let me talk about the Paul Ryan situation. Frankly, you seem pretty annoyed by this. Are you?
No, it's just the way it is. I don't think it hurts me at all, and I'd like to have his support. But if he doesn't want to support me, that's fine, and we have to go about it. Look. I'm going to get millions and millions of votes more than the Republicans would have gotten. If you look at the numbers, I think right now, or I will be this week or next week, in the history of the Republican Party, nobody has ever gotten so many votes as I have. I've beaten Eisenhower and Nixon and Reagan and everybody. And we have a tremendous group of people that's voting. And remember, I have a lot of states left. And if you look at the percentages I'm winning, I mean, I got 62% in New York, and I got these massive numbers all over, and I have 3 candidates. I was having to beat 3 candidates. You know, nobody ever mentions that you get 62%, but it's not against just one person. It's against, in this case, 3. And
well, obviously, your case,
the process,
your case to Paul Ryan is, hey, the voters have decided, get on board.
Well, I would say that's true. I mean, to be honest, I like Paul Ryan. I think he's a very good guy. He called me 3 weeks ago, and he was so supportive. It was amazing, and I never thought a thing like this.
So you're stunned.
I got blindsided by this.
You feel blindsided by him?
No, I would say stunned is a little bit, it's politics. I'm never stunned by anything that happens in politics. But I was blindsided a little bit because he spoke to me 3 weeks ago, and it was a very nice call, a very encouraging call. I was doing well. He called me, I think, to congratulate me about New York because I won by massive numbers. I won everything. And then the next week, I won the 5 states in a row by all landslide numbers. And he called me to congratulate me. Couldn't have been nicer. And again, I have a nice relationship with him. Don't know him well. Met him one time. But have a nice relationship with him. And then all of a sudden, he gets on and he does this number. So I'm not exactly sure what he has in mind, but that's okay.
If he can't endorse you, do you think he should be chair of the convention?
I don't want to mention now. I'll see after. I will give you a very solid answer if that happens about 1 minute after that happens, okay? But there's no reason to give it right now. But I'll be very quick with the answer.
It sounds like I know what it sounds like I know what the answer is, but you don't want to say it yet. You don't want to sound.
No,
you're not here. You don't want to issue threats. you're not going to issue a
I
public
don't think
threat.
that's going to happen. You know, the parties come together. I have tremendous numbers of endorsements. I'm never going to get Romney's endorsement. He choked. He blew the last election.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get that. I'm never going to get Bush's election. You know, he thought I was too rough on him. He doesn't say that he spent $10 million on negative ads. But Jeb Bush, I was tough on him, and he was trying to be tough on me, but he's not a very tough guy. But, you know, I was very tough on him. But he spent $10 million or $12 million on negative ads on me. So why shouldn't I be? The fact is, and by the way, Chuck, very important, he signed a pledge. He pledged that he would support the nominee. And so did this lightweight Lindsey Graham. He pledged that he would support the nominee.
You threatened to back away. You threatened to back away from that pledge a lot for various reasons.
No. I didn't back away. In fact, one of the reasons I didn't back away is that I happen to be, despite what a few people think, I happen to be a very honorable guy. I signed a pledge, and that's a binding pledge. You know, I heard it's not binding. Well, it is a binding pledge. I have the best lawyers in the world. Yeah. They say it's an absolutely binding pledge.
Well, it was definitely binding in South Carolina. It was very binding for South Carolina. That was the only way to get on the ballot.
Well, remember, Chuck, remember this. Jeb Bush signed a pledge, a binding pledge. Lindsey Graham signed a binding pledge that they would endorse, that they would support and endorse. That's what it says. Now they're breaking. That's an honor, you know, that's a question of honor. They are not honorable people when they do that.
Let me ask you about Mitt Romney.
They're going against a pledge.
As you know, there's chatter that he's being recruited to run as an independent. I know you say you don't care that you have his support, but if you could have a sit down with Mitt Romney, you know, he came to you as sort of a penitent man. You know, he came to you when he was wanting your endorsement. Have you thought about traveling to him and seeing if you can sort of calm the waters with him at all? And if you did, what would you say to him?
Well, here's the story. I helped Mitt a lot. I raised a lot of money for him. I ruined the carpet in my apartments. I had so many people come. We actually had to have 2 fundraisers because there were so many people for his wife, who is a fantastic woman, by the way. I had these fundraisers in my apartment. They called me for help. And I did robocalls, I did speeches for him, I did everything during the primary season. During the election season, for some reason, they should have used me in Florida. He would have won Florida. But they had this, campaign manager, Stewart, whatever, who didn't like Donald Trump. He thought Donald Trump was too tough and too controversial and don't use him. So they didn't use me, and that was okay. When it came down to the convention, I wasn't a part of the convention, and that was okay. What happened is I was rough on Mitt because I didn't think they treated me properly. I helped him, really helped him, gave him a lot of money, helped him with robocalls. Every single robocall I made, he won that state. Every single speech I made, he won the state in terms of the primaries. When it came time to the general election, I waited for the call. I didn't care. Look, if they don't want to call me, that's okay. I'm a busy man. I have a lot of things to do. But if I would have been asked to help him in Florida, you saw what I did in Florida. I won in a landslide. I would have helped him. I certainly could have gotten him over the ledge. Wait a minute. So if Mitt Romney did that, I would be happy to talk to him. I think it's great. So
he owes you a thank you. You want him to thank you first for 2012 before you will reach out to him.
I helped Mitt Romney a lot.
And you feel like he was ungrateful?
I believe I won him or helped him win 5 states that he was going to lose.
Sounds like you think he was ungrateful? Okay? You think he's been ungrateful?
He was ungrateful, which is okay. A lot of people are ungrateful, but he was ungrateful. They did not respond accordingly, and that's okay.
All right.
But
let me move on to some.
See what happens.
Let me move on to some issue things. There's a few things that some people think are contradictions, so I want to see if I can pin you down here. The issue of taxes. Your tax plan is one where the biggest beneficiaries are the 0.1% when it comes to raw dollars that will be saved among taxes. But then in an interview earlier this week, you seem to say, you know what, my tax plan, it's not set in stone, and maybe I'll raise taxes. Maybe I'll actually raise taxes on the rich. So I guess, which is it? Are you willing to raise taxes on the 0.1%?
No. Let me explain how the world works, okay? I think nobody knows more about taxes than I do and income than I do. But I'll explain how it all works. I don't come up with it. I come up with the biggest tax cut by far of any candidate, anybody, and I put it in. But that doesn't mean that's what we're going to get. We have to negotiate. The thing I'm going to do is make sure the middle class gets good tax breaks, because they have been absolutely shunned. The other thing, I'm going to fight very hard for business. For the wealthy, I think, frankly, it's going to go up. And you know what? It really should go up.
They should pay. The wealthy need to pay more taxes. What do you define as wealthy, by the way?
Let me explain. Somebody like me. Let me explain something. I'm putting in a plan, Chuck. I have to negotiate now with senators and congressmen and lots of it. The fact that I put in a plan, it really is a floor. That's what it is, whether we like it or not. So I put in my plan. It's quite simple to see. It's a simplification. We lower the number of brackets. We lower the taxes on the middle class, on business, and we lower the taxes on everybody very substantially. But I have no illusions. I don't think that's going to be the final plan, because they are going to come to me, including the Democrats and everybody else. They're going to come to me. They're going to want to negotiate. But that's a floor. That's where we're starting.
So is that
now, when it comes time to negotiate, I feel less concerned with the rich than I do with the middle class.
So it sounds should we take
I feel
that?
very concerned.
Should we assume that most of your plans then, we shouldn't take you at your word as sort of that they're floors, what you just described, that, you know what, it's my opening statement, but everything is negotiable.
Excuse me, it's called life, Chuck. It's not my word. Of course, I put in a proposal. You know what they are? They're really proposals. People can say it's a tax plan. It's really a tax proposal, because after I put it in, and I think you know the Senate and Congress, you know as much as anybody, they start working with you and they start fighting, and let's see what happens. But I put in a proposal. Under my proposal, it's the biggest tax cut by far of any candidate, by far.
Right.
But I'm not under the illusion that that's going to pass. They're going to come to me. They're going to want to raise it for the rich. Frankly, they're going to want to raise it for the rich more than anybody else. But the middle class has to be protected. The rich is probably going to end up paying more, and business might have to pay a little bit more. But we're giving a massive business tax cut. Remember this: we're the highest taxed nation in the world.
Wait a minute.
But this
let me stop you there. You just said businesses might pay a little bit more. You just said business might pay a little bit more, but we're going to get them a massive tax cut. You just said it within 10 words.
No, I didn't say it. Excuse me. I said they might have to pay a little bit more than my proposal, Chuck.
Oh, your proposal. Okay. I just wanted to get that clear.
Than my proposal.
Fair enough.
I'm not talking about more than they're paying now.
Gotcha.
We're the highest taxed nation in the world. Our businesses pay more taxes than any businesses in the world. That's why companies are leaving. So they may have to pay a little bit more than my proposal. Is what I mean. I assume you
Okay. No. I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay, good.
Minimum wage.
Good. I'm glad you cleared it.
Minimum wage. At a debate, you remember what you said. You thought you didn't want to touch it. Now you're open to it. What changed?
Let me just tell you, I've been traveling the country for many months, since June 16th. I'm all over. Today I'm in the state of Washington, where the arena right behind me, you probably hear, is packed with thousands and thousands of people. I'm doing that right after I finish you. I have seen what's going on, and I don't know how people make it on $7.25 an hour. Now, with that being said, I would like to see an increase of some magnitude, but I'd rather leave it to the states. Let the states decide, because don't forget, the states have to compete with each other.
Right. You want but should the federal government set a floor, and then you let the states?
No, I'd rather have the states go out and do what they have to do. And the states compete with each other, not only other countries, but they compete with each other, Chuck. So I like the idea of let the states decide. But I think people should get more. I think they're out there, they're working. It is a very low number. With what's happened to the economy, with what's happened to the cost, I mean, it's just, I don't know how you live on $7.25 an hour. But I would say let the states decide.
Another contradiction has been on your feelings toward Hillary Clinton. In 2012, as she was leaving Secretary of State, you praised her. You thought she did a good job. You even sort of said, you know what, she's not pushing her agenda. She had to carry on somebody else's agenda. Before that, you didn't fault her on the Iraq War vote because you said, you know what, she got bad intelligence like a lot of other people got. Now
I didn't get bad intelligence.
You say
I didn't get bad intelligence.
I understand that, but you said you kind of forgave her on that early on. Now you call her, she's been crooked from the start. I guess this goes back to which Donald Trump do we believe on your feelings toward Hillary Clinton, 2012 or now?
Okay. So recently a magazine said Donald Trump's a world-class businessman, and I am. I built an amazing company, some of the greatest assets in the world, and just great stuff. All over the world. I go all over the world. I'm in Europe. I'm in Asia. I'm all over the world. I'm not looking to get in fights with politicians. I'm not looking to get in fights with the Secretary of State. So when I do something in a country, wherever it may be, in Dubai, where I'm doing big jobs, and other places, in China, where I'm actually getting ready to sign big jobs through my company. Let me just tell you something. I want to get along with politicians. So when somebody says, what do you think of Hillary Clinton? Number one, I'm not looking at it that closely because I'm in business. But when somebody says 3, 4, 5 years ago, let's look at Hillary Clinton, what do you think? I say, she's doing great. I say, everybody's doing great. The fact is, she has not done a good job. When I look at what happened with Libya, when I look at what happened with Benghazi, when you look at the migration, when you look at all of the things, but I'm not looking to criticize. You can look at many politicians that haven't done a good job. How are they doing? They're doing just fine. I'm not looking to get into wars with politicians because I need politicians.
All right, last question. Why not release the tax returns that aren't involved in the audit?
Because it's a link. I have very big tax returns. I'm sure you've seen the picture where the returns are literally from the floor to up to here. They're extremely complex.
Do you think you can do it before the election, though?
I hope so. I'd like to. I have no problem with releasing the tax returns. Do you pledge to do it before the election? Excuse me. Sure. If the audit is finished, I'll do it as fast as the audit's finished. Remember this. I've already given my financials. And my financials show I'm worth more than $10 billion by any stretch of the imagination.
Gotcha.
Has tremendous cash flow. You don't learn much from tax returns, but I would love to give the tax returns, but I can't do it until I'm finished with the audit.
Donald Trump, I got to leave it there. The crowd, it's fired up. We already heard Mike Leach, Steve Entman.
It's fired up.
Big Washington State stars up there. Thank you for coming on, sir.
That's right. They're great people. Thank you.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.